Hello students, this is Dr. Muni Romer with CS222 Database Management Systems. As per our course syllabus, we are now in lab number 14 and this lab is covered by KCMS activities number 55 and number 56. In this lab, we will study about database connectivity. For this lab, we have a manual and you will find this manual attached with this lecture. Also, you will find two additional video tutorials with this. So here in lab number 14, we are going to connect a MySQL database with PHP and then Java. So for connecting PHP with the MySQL, we use MySQL Connect, and we have one another object too. I will show you that thing later. So MySQL Connect is used to open a database connection. This function takes 5 parameters and returns a MySQL link identifier on success or false on failure. So these are the parameters. The first one which is needed is the server. So if we are going to connect a database and we have PHP, so we must provide the server name to this MySQL Connect. So here we must have server. In most of the cases, we used these databases on localhost or on systems. So in the coming example, you will also find localhost for this server. Then we will have user. User is the database user, and in our example, we will give root to this MySQL Connect. In most of the cases, in almost all the examples, we have root as the user of our databases. Then password. So for root, we are also having a password, so that password will also be supplied. And then we have new link. If a second call is made to MySQL Connect with the same argument, then no new connection will be established. Instead, the identifier of the already opened connection will be returned. And the last thing is client flags. We have some flags. These are optional. We can provide SSL for security. We can use SSL encryption. Then we can also use the compress. If we are using compression tool, then ignore space can be used for ignoring the spaces after function names. And also we can use interactive, which allow interactive timeout seconds and inactivity before closing the connection. So in this manual, you will find some code and guidelines. Now I'm going to show you that which objects can be used to connect a database. For database connectivity, we can use MySQLi extension or PDO, PHP data objects. Both are possible. Before 2012, it was MySQL, but now it has been replaced with mysqli. I is used for improved. So both can be used. It's upon you. And actually, MySQL is particularly used for the MySQL DBMS, while PDO can be used for 12 different database systems. If you have to switch your project to use another database, PDO makes the process easy because it has support for multiple databases. You only have to change the connection string and a few queries, while if you are using mysqli, you will need to rewrite the entire codes including queries. Both are object oriented, but mysqli also offers a procedural API. Both support prepare statements. Prepare statements are protected from SQL injection and are very important for web application security. The first one is mysqli object oriented. In this we need an object to create the connection. So this object actually requires three things: the server name, username, and password. We can use three variables for giving these three values to the mysqli object. So you can also type the values directly here and instead of using variables. Usually we work on localhost because the database and all the DBMS is on our system, so definitely we will use localhost for this purpose. Then the username, which we use to connect our databases, and the password, which was stored for these usernames. Usually we use root for connecting our MySQL server. Once you assign values to server name, username, and password, after that you need to create the object CONN connection. You can give any name to this object, so it must take these three values. The object has been created. After that we need to check the connection. So for that purpose we have an if statement. This statement will determine whether the connection has an error or it has been successfully created. Now here we have the code for database connectivity. First we need localhost and then the username. It is root in our case, and then the password. The password is 123456. So after that these three values will be supplied to CONN, the object, and with the help of if statement it would be checked that whether this object is working or not. So if there is no connect error, then we will get connected successfully. So we can save it. It's working, connected successfully. Now suppose here I type a wrong username, and now we will check what will happen. Control S. We got error due to this connection failed. So connection failed, access denied to root 1 at localhost. You can also use mysqli procedural code to connect a database. This code is somehow similar to previous code. There are some minor changes. The first one is that we used mysqli class and used a new keyword to create the instance of this class. Here we are using mysqli connect. It is a function and it also takes three parameters, and this function returns something to CONN. And inside the if statement we have also some minor changes. If you compare it with the previous code, you can use any of these two codes. Next is PDO. PDO can be used to connect different type of DBMS. Actually it has support for 12 different DBMS. So this code can be used to connect a database. Actually here we are connecting MySQL. We can also connect Microsoft SQL Server. For that purpose, we must type SQL srv here, and if we are going to connect MS Access, then we must type ODBC here to connect MS Access database. The rest of the things are same. We will have localhost for host, and also we must provide the database name here. In last case we didn't provide database name, then username and password. In last cases we used if statements to control or to check the errors or the exceptions, and here in this case we are using proper try and catch blocks for exception handling. So once we create this CONN, after that we work on the exception handling. So for that purpose we use the object operator. It is used in object scope to access methods and properties of an object. It is its meaning is to say that what is on the right of the operator is a member of the object instantiated into the variable on the left side of the operator. Instantiated is the key term here. This CONN allows us to access the main PDO object. Here we have two things. The first one is ATTR error mode, and the second one is error mode exception. So both are used for exception handling. The first one is used for error reporting, while the second one throws exception. Basically we are getting the PTO error mode attribute or control error reporting to raise a PTO exception that tells us what went wrong when it goes wrong. So with the help of this code we can connect our database with our application by using PHP, and in case there is an exception or error, then we will get connection failed plus a message of that error generated by that exception. Once the connection has been created, it must be closed. So if you are working with databases, then definitely you will create connections for databases, and once you operate or you perform all the operations on database, it might be a single database or multiple databases, so you must also close the connections at the bottom of the document or at the last of the web pages. So here for mysqli we use this command to close a connection. For procedural, this was for object oriented. For procedural we have somehow similar code, and for PDO we put null in the connection object. Now here for closing this connection I must type the object. It was CONN, so it is a variable. I must also use this $sign with it, and then the operator and close. So with the help of this code the connection will be created, and it will give a message whether connection is failed or successful, and after that the connection will be closed.